Hello.
Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess and this is my ADHD life. Bit of a different setup here today. I'm doing this a little bit impromptu and last minute, so if I look a little sweaty and my office is kind of a disaster. Today I wanted to do something kind of fun. I put out a tweet, which I will show here hopefully, to ask the hashtag #AskADHD, and a lot of people responded to it, which I was very happy about. I asked everyone in kind of ADHD Twitter what their least favorite advice they tended to get from people who are neurotypical, so meaning people who do not have ADHD and do not have a neurodivergence. This is an opportunity for those of us with ADHD to just kind of like have a good laugh at those just like really bad pieces of advice we get from people who don't have ADHD. And it's not really their fault, they just don't really understand what having ADHD is like. So they're like, yeah, I'm gonna offer you this advice, not really thinking about the fact that it's not super catered to how our brains work. So I asked everyone on Twitter and you guys totally delivered. And so I'm really excited to kind of just make this video and just kind of have a little bit of fun. Hopefully this won't take too long, but I have about 20 of these. This is just my opinion on how I think how good or bad these things are. So yeah, just take it with a grain of salt. We're just trying to have fun. And I will publish this tier list for you guys to use it too, because I think it might be kind of fun. And my categories are, at least they tried, eye roll worthy, this displeases me, thanks, I hate it, and okay, thanks, bye. And so I kind of just came up with them to be just kind of silly ones and kind of the feelings you get with each one. For me, it's varying levels of I feel the need to say something to let them know that they are very wrong, to I don't ever want to talk to them again. So we're just going to jump right into this. This is a weird one. This was something that I saw come up in a couple of different places on the Twitter thread, is just decide to do it and you will do it. I don't even know what kind of advice that's supposed to be. And I mean, you know, I've talked about executive function in a different video, which I can link. It's not that simple. I don't think it's that simple for anyone. For me, this is gonna go under like eye roll worthy because it's just so not the best. The next one I have is just be less loud. I saw this in several places on the thread, and all I could think to myself is, no one should ever say that to anyone. Now, if you're talking volume, like, hey, you're being a little too loud for me right now, can you bring it down a couple volume notches? That's different. That's very different. The way it read on a lot of the replies to the tweet were just like awful. Like it read like, just don't be yourself, or stop being so you, or stop being so ADHD, for example. I'm just not about it. Like, this isn't something you should say to someone. Like, if they have a very bright and vibrant personality, leave them the heck alone. I don't care how cynical you are. So I'm gonna actually put this under, this is gonna be my first "okay, thanks, bye," which if someone said that to me or someone I knew, that's pretty high on my list of like, I'm not gonna talk to you again. This is one that I saw reiterated several times, and it's a little bit different from some of I differentiated it. You'll see some of these that you might think like, oh, these are kind of similar, but I'm hoping that you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from. This one is, just break down your tasks into smaller tasks, which I have given this advice before. In my cleaning video, I did say like, hey, just break down your tasks, do it like a little bit at, me, someone who has ADHD, saying, hey, this works for me and might work for you, is a lot different than the way it comes off a lot of times when neurotypicals are telling us about this. So they'll like just for some reason decide like just break down your tasks, it's fine. And it's just not very helpful. I'm gonna go with at least they tried. Because this is something that feasibly could work for someone who has ADHD, because it works for me. However, it's still not great. And a lot of these are going to be framing, I'll say that right now. Like, there's a big difference between just break down your tasks, that'll be easier, and does breaking down your tasks work for you? Would that be an effective thing you could do in this situation, for example? Oh, this one I saw in a few places, and I was just like, man, that's just not how my mind works. But it was, just do a little bit every day. And I'm just going to immediately put it into, this displeases me. Because I heard that a lot when I was in school, and that's just like, I cannot do that. I am very much a time blocking person where I take like 8 hours and I focus on a single task, a single large task, and I get all of it done. Like leaving and coming back to it is really, really hard for me. So that's something that like I found, especially when I was in college, when I would have like big projects, instead of like doing a little bit every day, I would like make a fake due date and like do it like a week early and then just do the whole thing and maybe come back and edit it, because I did a lot of essay writing. But yeah, that was something that just like didn't ever really work for me, and that's just not how my brain works. So it's just very much like a middle of the road. This displeases me. Oh God, okay, so this next one is just do it as soon as you think about it. This is such bad advice. Like, especially once you get into the professional world. If any of my viewers are like still in college, you might not experience this quite like in the same way that people who work in like maybe an office environment do. But like when you work in an office environment, it is so hard to get like 2 hours just where you can focus on like a single task. So to like offer this as advice is just so detrimental to those of us who are already like predisposed to easily get distracted. I had so much trouble with like, I'd be doing a task and someone would come up to me with like a small task, even when they were small, and they would be like, hey, can you do this for me? And I'd be like, oh yeah, of course. Which is somewhat like, I just wanted to like, you know, make sure that people liked me, but also like I was easily distracted. And I would do it as soon as like they tell me or as soon as I think about it. And it just isn't good for your workflow in general. I really don't think there are situations where this will work. I do it for certain things, like if I need to make a phone call, this is a pretty good one. As like advice for like trying to focus or like trying to work or make your work environment better, things like that, I don't think it's really good advice. But yeah, this is just such bad advice for me that I would 100% say that this is going into thanks, I hate it. Doesn't make me want to never talk to you again, but it's not very helpful to me to the point where I'm just like, The next one I have here is just get started. And like, I already kind of know this is going in eye roll worthy for me because I feel like that whole brand of like Nike, just do it, like just get it done, is almost in that same realm of like weird toxic positivity. It's like, I don't know if I have any proof of that, but that's where it seems to fall for me. This is a bit of an aside. I really like watching multi-level marketing schemes, so pyramid schemes basically. This is something that I feel like they do a lot, is that like, you just gotta do it, just get started, just keep pushing forward. And like, to me, it just rings all of the cult alarm bells that are associated with that kind of community. When I get it, I feel like, oh, like another like toxic positivity post. Just get started, just do it. And of course, like the Nike campaign, like obviously no shade, like that was a pretty good campaign. I just feel like it bred kind of the same mindset, or was kind of bred to feed on that mindset, if that makes sense. Oh, okay, so just start a journal / practice mindfulness. I'm gonna go with at least they tried. Because in my experience, people who suggest this to me honestly want me to get better. They do have my best interests in mind. They're just not really thinking through the advice they're giving me. I can't blame them for it. It's just like not great advice. Journaling, I will admit, like I do that a little bit and it works for me. I am a writer, so that is cathartic for me in ways. It's also practice in general. I think that anyone who writes like fiction or nonfiction should probably journal in some way. Like that whole like mindfulness journaling or bullet journaling, for example. And I kind of lump these together because they're all kind of in that same like, you know, like that minimalist blogger who is like very proud of the fact that they're a type A personality, which is fine. It's just like not who I am, so it's not helpful advice. Okay, so this is actually the one that I put in the tweet, which is just make a list of your tasks. It's going in thanks, I hate it. Offering the option of listing is not going to make me not want to talk to you anymore. But also I'm just gonna, like, I'm not gonna be happy about it. It's just not what helps me. I tend to write things down on a list and it removes it from my brain and then it is gone forever. So like if it's like a series of tasks I need to do for work across the week, it kind of works. It's definitely not my main go-to at all. It's also just like a piece of advice that is foisted upon people who have ADHD so often. Just like, I said this, like there was a whole bit about this in my cleaning video. I'm gonna say right now, I am not going to be yet another person in the flood of people telling those of us with ADHD to just make lists. Like that's gonna solve all of our problems. I feel like this also tends to come from a place of people who don't think ADHD really exists. They just think you're disorganized or lazy or something like that. And I think that's another big part of the reason that I just like really, really hate it. Oh, okay, so this is another good one that I get levied a lot because I have been kind of on a fitness journey. Yeah, I'm gonna call it a fitness journey for like the last like 2 years, but it's just make it a habit/routine. That's just so, it's so, all right, it's eye roll worthy. That's where I'm gonna put it because I don't think it's like I don't think it's like a true neutral, this displeases me and it's not a thing because I hate it. And like it's so low effort that I feel like it shouldn't go in, at least they tried. So it's going in this like second eye roll worthy tier. It's just really not that simple and I don't like people treating it like it's that simple. Like I was talking about health and fitness goals as an example. Any goals you're trying to reach are hard in general. Pretty much anything you do nowadays is a grind. Like in a way, everything in life is kind of a grind. And I don't mean to be negative about it. It's just like, you know, there are certain things you have to do to achieve certain things, no matter what you're doing. And like ADHD just adds such a level of difficulty onto that. I think people forget that offering kind of that base level advice that would work for anyone who's neurotypical, just completely forget like that added layer. And it's that just omission of that added layer of ADHD that really, really bothers me about it, which is just why it's like, Yeah. Okay. Oh, this one kind of goes in the mindfulness category. I'm actually gonna put it next to mindfulness, which is, this is just try meditating. And I'm gonna put it in at least they tried. You know, no, it's eye roll worthy. It's really eye roll worthy. It's, you know, it's one of those things that I feel like people frequently forget that it's really hard to calm an ADHD mind. Because of that, they offer things like, you know, practice mindfulness, meditating. And I feel like for some reason, whenever I get practice mindfulness and journal, it is coming from a place of I genuinely want to help you. And when I get just try meditating, it's almost pseudoscience. It's almost always pseudoscience. And it's like it's kind of in that same way with like make a habit a routine, where it's ignoring that difficulty that comes with having ADHD. This is just one I really don't like, and I find it very eye roll worthy. So it's just not my thing, and my brain just does not shut off in the way that it needs to. I will admit I do really like guided meditation. That's something I found out when I was in college, when I took like a gym class. Well, we would usually do yoga first, but she would have us lie on the floor towards the end. And these classes were like 50 minutes. So we'd do like half the class doing yoga and then the rest of it would be like a guided meditation where she would just put on this thing. I do really like those, probably because the words give me something to focus on and therefore I can help clear my head a little bit better. Anyway. Oh, this one is like, thanks, I hate it. Well, no, it's really not, it's not that bad. I would say this displeases me, but just pay attention. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Attention deficit. Do you know what deficit means? But yeah, that's how I feel every time I hear this, like, just pay attention. It's, no. Now I'm not going to out of spite. But yeah, this displeases me. It makes me very unhappy. Just put it in the same place every single time. Now, I think this is 100% one that like you hear for things like your keys and stuff you lose really often, your backpack. I'm trying to think of other good examples, pens, pencils, notebooks. I feel like teachers are like notoriously bad for this, where they'll like, this is the advice that they give you when you're a kid with ADHD in school just trying to survive. Whether you know you have ADHD or not, it's just a mess to give someone this advice. I'm gonna say this displeases me, because it's just like it's very much not acknowledging, again, like what having ADHD is like. A couple weeks ago, there was like a conversation in the ADHD community on Twitter, which I was following pretty closely because I found it interesting, about whether object permanence or lack of object permanence was like the right term for that. And I don't know what like the settlement on the whole thing was, but I do very much feel like if I put something down sometimes, it just no longer exists. I have put down my basket of groceries in the grocery store, walked away from it, started picking up more stuff and was like carrying stuff in my hands, and then went, oh, where's my basket? And had to like go back. I have like a grocery cart because I walk to the grocery store pretty often, like, you know, one of those little granny carts. Oh my God, don't get me started. I have walked away from that thing so many times. Going in the same vein, this is often something that is levied against people when they talk about losing their keys a lot. Just put things away when you've finished using them. And it's like, yeah, you really think I didn't think of that? Which is why I'm gonna put this one in eye roll worthy. Because it's just like, it's just, you know, another time you're hearing a piece of advice that like makes you feel kind of dumb. It's like, you really think I didn't think that through? It has taken me years to get into a situation where I actually have like assigned places for things. Like I have a drawer, it's kind of a junk drawer, to be honest, in my kitchen, but the two things that are always in it are my scissors, because I'm always losing those, and then also my lighter for like my candles. And I just like, it took me so long to get used to it. I've lived here for like 2 years and I still don't put the scissors back in the right place sometimes. I try my best, we all do, but it's just not, this one's just not very conducive to people who have ADHD, and I feel like it's shouted at us pretty often. Oh, okay, the next one is, as someone who is assigned female at birth, you probably have heard this one in particular quite a lot if you at any point decided to go on birth control. Just set an alarm for it. It's you. At least they tried. They really thought it would help. Like, this is another one where I feel like people pretty genuinely, they really genuinely think that this is going to help me. And I'm like I wish it did. I don't know how many times I've put something into my phone, you know, hey Google, asked it to set me a reminder, and it did give me a reminder, and then it just didn't really, I clicked away from it, and then I never did it. This is a video of calling myself out for all of my bad habits related to my symptoms. That's what all of these videos are going to be on this channel. Welcome. So this one is, just get started on big projects right away. I'm gonna put this in at least they tried. Like the thought process, again, like some of the others in at least they tried, this one comes from a good place generally. They're honestly trying to help you. It's just not very helpful. At least not for me. Like I said, I'm better at time blocking. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll like kind of pick a time that I'm supposed to be doing that thing, And that's the time that I do that thing, and I do the whole thing all at once. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, one of the big things about this one that I feel like makes it not work is it's just not always possible because of like the way the world works or the way you're given assignments, both in like a school setting and like a work setting. That's just really my problem with it. But I do feel like when people tell me this, like they're genuinely trying to help, which is why I'm not super mad at it. This one though, I am super mad at, which is just stop being lazy, which is going in K thanks bye. If anyone tells me to just stop being lazy, I just can't. I cannot deal with it anymore. I've heard it for so long that I just cannot anymore, and it's just not a thing I can deal with at all. So I'm not going to. This one isn't necessarily related directly to ADHD, but it is related to anxiety, and anxiety and ADHD tend to be comorbid. So I included it. Just stop being so anxious. Don't worry about it. Calm down. Thanks, I hate it. I think people a lot of times when they are trying to deal with someone who is maybe having like symptoms of anxiety, they just don't know how to deal with that, so they say things like, just calm down, or stop being so anxious about this, or why are you anxious about this? And it's like, that's not how anxiety works. I can't explain it to you. I just scared. I don't think when people say it to me, they mean it the way they do, but boy does it make me mad. I hate it. I hate it so much. Also, like, disclaimer for any of my friends who watch this video, if you have ever done or said any of these things to me personally, don't worry, it's fine. A lot of this is surface level salt. Here's the thing, when my friends try to give me advice, even when it is not the best advice, you guys might have said things to me like this, you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't necessarily know that these things make me so angry. I was maybe surface level mad at you at the time, but like I got over it. And I think for a lot of us with ADHD, I think something that's really important for us to learn, which I've been working on in the last couple of years, is just sometimes when things make you upset, you just step away from them and you just forget they happened. You know, advice for situations where like your friend tries to give you helpful advice, but it's not very helpful to you, versus like someone gaslighting you. To any of my friends who are watching this, if you have ever done any of these things to me, I'm not mad at you. I probably don't even remember that you did it. This next one is going in K thanks bye, and it's just try harder. And like, I really need to emphasize how, I really wish you could see better how perfect this image that I stuck on this one was, because this guy is just making the perfect like, don't like that face, as he's like, for some reason, like lifting weights. Anyway, but yeah, just try harder. Oh my God, in every situation in my life have I heard this for various reasons. It drives me up a wall. Part of the reason I feel like I identified so much with this picture that I put in this, because I feel like I heard this most when I talked about like fitness and health things. You grow up as like a chubby kid and like people are just always mean to you. That's just the way the world works. No, seriously, like, just try harder, particularly being someone with ADHD who is maybe, I don't even think I'm on like the larger side. So like, that's why I find this particularly insidious. But like, you know, I would be upset with my body and upset with how I looked. I would have like these major bouts of depression because of it. And like, I'm gonna call out one of my exes. I just distinctly remember when I was in college, like I was trying to like lose weight because like that's what, you know, like the world wants you to do. And I was just in a very dark place and like I didn't feel good about myself or my body. You know, I was in college, so like there was a lot of other stressors happening. And I just like remember him, like we got into an argument about something and like I was just trying to vent and he was like trying to give me advice, and like eventually like his advice just like devolved into just try harder. That's not the right thing to say to someone most of the time. Knowing now what I do about having ADHD, it's just, it made it so much worse. Hearing just try harder or do more really hurt me, and it has hurt me so many times. And that's why it's become very much like, if you can't recognize that I am trying very hard, I don't want to deal with you. yeah, it's just a very raw thing for me, I'll be honest. Wow, it's gotten very dark all of a sudden. It is something that was very, very hard for me, and I feel like is maybe very hard for a lot of other people with ADHD. That's where I'm going to leave it. So, on a lighter note, this one is just use an app. And then this one's eye roll worthy. Apps just like aren't going to replace things for me. They're not going to make my brain function like a neurotypical's brain. That's just the bottom line. They can be super, super helpful. A lot of times someone's suggesting a specific app to me, not like, can you find an app to help you do that? My therapist at one point suggested, because I skin pick a little bit, so like to kind of help me be more conscious of it, she suggested I use this app to like log every time I like skin pick, and it was specifically for trichomania, like pulling your hair out. I logged skin picking in that thing like twice. Sorry, I keep saying skin picking, which is like a horrid word. Moving along now, this is our last one, and I feel like this one gets told to me a lot, and it's just start exercising, doing Pilates, and or yoga. Like they will solve all of my problems. I know this displeases me. I find a lot of benefit in like running. I actually used to hate running. I like it a lot now. I probably run a mile every other day. Actually, recently. I can now run a mile in about 10 minutes and 15 seconds, which is like a really big deal for me. But part of the reason I found out I really liked running was not because anyone told me to do it. It was because I wanted to commit to a more healthy lifestyle. I was trying to encourage my significant other to do this with me so that we could do it together and keep each other accountable, because that would be very helpful to me. He and I decided to run a 10K together, which got pushed back because of COVID. This is something that like I hear a lot, and like while I will say like yoga and like exercising in general is very good for me in a lot of ways, it's not a cure for my ADHD, which is what a lot of times people present it to me as. They're like, oh, go for a run, it'll help you so much. And it's like, do you know what I think about when I'm running? It's, oh my God, my lungs gonna give out? Is that pain a heart attack, cramping? Or is that pain what's happening? Like that's all I think about when I run, which is funny because I do genuinely enjoy it. Like there are times when I'm running when I feel very much like, man, I can't believe my body can do this. This is so much more than it could do 6 months ago. And like that part of it, that's the part that I love. Like that feeling that you get from doing stuff like that. So I just don't really like when people tell me that that kind of thing is going to be helpful for my ADHD. It's just really not. But like I will admit it does kind of give me a little bit of headspace, if that makes any sense. It pushes out some of the noise. Yeah, when people tell me to do it, like as if it's gonna solve my problem, no. Just no. Yeah, that's that whole thing. I ranked everything. If you're interested at all in kind of like continuing these conversations, reaching out to me and talking about things that work for you or don't work for you, please feel free to comment on this video, reach out to me on Twitter, or respond to any posts that I post asking questions. Thank you so much if you replied to my Twitter thread. If you want to be in another video like this, look out for anytime I post something with hashtag AskADHD in it. My Twitter and my Instagram are both at my ADHD lifestyle. I will probably put it right here on the video. And by I mean my editor, whose name is Molly, who I love. Thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you guys next time. Oh, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. And if you really like my content, please hit the bell icon so you'll get notified every single time that I post. Everyone with ADHD is great. I love you all very much. Have a wonderful day. And I'm gonna do the YouTuber thing. Woo! Oh my God, I totally fucked up my intro. I didn't tell people to like and subscribe.